Boom, boom, boom. Welcome aboard, welcome aboard. It is I, TJ, and welcome to M5 Successful Friends. As it is, like any other day, we bring out guys who are really doing it, killing it in their own space of property and anything that has to do with property. If this is for your first time, where have you been? But if it is your second time, third time, fourth time, welcome aboard and welcome back. It is an honor and a pleasure for me to be bringing out to you the Kouro guys. I should say that before I actually introduce them, I should say that, you know, when I started off my property journey, I used to look up to Shane. Shane was my go-to guy. And I had found him in the network and he was just doing amazing things and I could admire him from a distance. So it is actually a pleasure for me to be having him on this podcast, M5 Successful Friends, so that we can chat about his journey and how his business partner mate also came into the picture. Guys, welcome aboard. How's it going?
Thanks, TJ. I appreciate it. Going very well this side, eh?
Good, good. So I'm going to start with Shane because I have known Shane a little bit longer. So when I started off my property journey, I started seeing you, Shane.
Yeah.
And in the networks, I don't know how many deals I've sent you to say, Shane, have a look. And
Quite
each time
a
you
few.
come back to me and you says, TJ, I'm working on it. TJ, I've got an investor. No, TJ, the money is gone. And where are you from? I mean, I'm Joburg based. Where are you from, and how did the properties thing start for you?
Yeah, so from my side, I'm originally from the West Rand, back then. So yeah, the property journey started, I think, like a lot of other people as well. There's always been a drive from the youth, always drawing pictures of houses, always been interested in civil engineering and architecture and everything. But from there, reading the Rich Dad Poor Dad, reading other multiple books, and just doing a lot of research into different fields and stuff. But often what you find is, the Americas, they dominate the space, and anything that you research lands you up right there. So a lot of that research just drove me to the position of like, I want to be in this space. This is what I want to do. This is my passion. Your construction is everything that I breathe. So a lot of that ended up in a lot of research and finding out where in South Africa can we achieve this type of thing that Americans have. And that led me through to Sapin and Andrew Walker. Through that, I got a bit educated through that, sort of took me under the wing, and a lot of online research, books that I read. And yeah, then eventually partnered up with Matt. And then from there, things 10x, Dan.
Awesome. Good. Great having you around. Mate, I just started you coming into the picture and I was like, where's this guy coming from? How where are you from and how did your journey also kick in?
Yeah, so I don't live too far away from Shane, a few kilometers, although we never actually met in our own neighborhoods. We met at a SAPA networking event. But yeah, I've been born and bred in Randburg in the north of Joburg. And my property journey started off like many others. I had an interest in property. I never owned any property or anything like that. Yeah, it always interested me, and I always knew that having just one job or one source of income is never enough, and you always have to look at multiple funnels of income. And I always knew property has stood the test of time. And I knew that I needed to get involved with it in some way, but never quite knew how to go about it. And then I stumbled upon the Rich Dad Poor Dad book, like Shane mentioned. And from there, I started to get an idea of what it's all about. And then I made a decision that I needed to go after it.
I'm gonna show off, right? So
there it is.
So there's this is copy number 4 or 5 in my household, right?
Nice.
And in this copy here, so how I stumbled upon this was that my wife, about 3 years into getting married, she bought me one, not this copy, and I never read it. And then I went on to a seminar and they were talking about this guy. So I started going online a lot to look for what's happening. And then I kind of like trying to figure out, I know this book, I've seen this book somewhere. And I turned the house upside down the one weekend and boom, I found it. It was a Saturday, round about 7-ish. I read it until 2 in the morning. I was done. I was so fired up, it's not even funny. The Sunday, so we got a tradition in our household. The Sundays, it's home time, so we don't do anything. No phone, no nothing, no TV. We just connect, right?
Yeah.
And Sunday, I am just talking about Robert Kiyosaki. My wife now is asking, who is Robert Kiyosaki? So this is actually a copy that I bought my son for when he turned 12 the other day. And he's told me that he doesn't like it because they talk about a lot of taxes. So I said to him, no, don't worry, my boy, I'm going to teach you what tax is. So each time you ask for ice cream, I'm going to take about 40% of that ice cream. And you'll see how it feels, you know. So that's the tradition that we've started off in my household of demonstrating what taxes look like. Yeah. So coming back to you boys, so you started off your partnerships, and how far long back was this?
Sure. So yeah, the partnership originally started was the end of 2017, Emmet. That's when we first had our first coffee and introduced one another and, you know, sort of like felt one another out. I think by the end of that meeting, we decided, listen, let's team up. We're going to give it 6 months. We sort of have a similar background, both involved in Uber cars, both had an entrepreneurial mind. So yeah, I think that was in November. And then we did our first drive for dollars in December that year. And sort of, I think on our first D4D, we sort of got our first deal.
All right, cool. You speak of this background where you guys was exposed to other businesses, the Uber that you mentioned just now. Who was doing Ubering at that time?
Yeah, both of us.
Okay, what do you mean you guys were doing the Uber business?
So we each own vehicles in the Uber fleet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, for someone out there, they don't know what Uber is all about. I mean, how does it work? How do you make money? If you make money at all.
Yeah, so you know, we got into Uber to know each other. You know, Shane had his little fleet, I had my little fleet, and when Uber first came to South Africa, you know, you could onboard a certain amount of vehicles onto their system, and you could rent them out to drivers, similar to what you do in property, where you rent out a property and you receive a rental income. You could do the same with Uber cars, and you know, that's what we did. I personally did it for about 3 years. We made quite a bit of money in the first year, and then kind of went south second and third year, and that's when I decided to get out of it.
So funny enough, right? I didn't know this about you guys. I mean, I've known you guys for donkey years, but I didn't know of your Uber journeys. And I've got a similar story. When I started off shortly before the properties, I had a fleet of vehicles. We had 45 cars at max at one point on the street. But I wasn't doing Ubering. So what I would do is that I would buy cars from rental companies, your Avis, your Tempest, cars that have just gone like, let's say 50,000 Ks and things like that. So they let them go. So I would buy that on a hire purchase, like a normal installment 5-year plan. And I would then rent them out on a long term to someone else. So I'll buy for 2,000. I'll put in a tracker, I'll put in insurance, and maybe my my whole expense on that vehicle is around about 3,000, and I'll rent it out for like 5. So I've got my 1.5, 2 grand to play around with, and my fleet grew. And I only started doing that because I realized that there was a lot of at that time there was a lot of foreigners who were coming into town, be it from African countries or from overseas, but the banks were not willing to give them that money. So I became that buffer. and you mentioned that it went south. For me, how it went south is that to date, we ended up paying for 2 cars. 2 of them, they disappeared. Tracker came to pick me up. We went where the tracker was, but the car was not there.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh God. That must have been fun.
It was. So one tracker was saying it's close to FMB Stadium. We were there. The car was not there. We drove around. The car was not there. The device was not there. So where's this thing pointing out to? You know, so those were my fun days. And then I realized that as a young person, I cannot be doing business in things that when I buy the asset appreciates. I almost want to get into a business where if I buy something, the asset should appreciate.
100%.
That way I'm working twice. You know, I'm working now in that business, but the appreciation also is helping me to grow. So when I started seeing the property space, I was like, oh, this is what it was, but I didn't know how. And I just want us to jump into that because now both of you guys, you are in the Uber space and, you know, you kind of like felt each other. You know, if we were in Cape Town, that would sound very wrong. But I'm glad that we're in Joburg. So now you're in this space now where you checking each other out. How did you gravitate to each other? You know, and this question is both to you because it's about you. Because I meet a lot of people who say they struggle in finding partners. And for me, having seen you guys grown together and doing deals together, you besides my own partnership, you are the next best partnerships that I can say to people. If you're struggling, go and see Mate and Shane.
Well,
you know
thank
what
you.
I mean? So how did that work out for you as an individual to get that comfort from the next person in the early days?
Matt, you want to lead with that one?
Yeah, so I mean, we did gravitate towards each other, like you say, but in many ways, it was almost like an arranged marriage because we obviously met each other at one of the SAPA networking events, and you know, I was at that point I was feeling very low in my property journey. I'd spent about 2 years trying to do a deal, and I just couldn't do it, and I just didn't know where to go. And I thought, well, you know, let me approach Andrew Walker, the founder of SAPN, and you know, I'd known him previously from other events and other trainings and networking events, etc. And I went to him and I said, I'm feeling lost. I don't really know where to go. And, you know, I feel alone in this journey, you know. And he obviously mentoring Shane, you know, he said, well, you know, where do you stay? And I said, well, I stay in Randburg. He's like, oh, well, you know, yeah, I've got Shane, and he's busy trying to do his first deal as well. And you know, you guys might be a good fit. You guys should probably, you know, meet up for coffee and chat about it. So yeah, that's kind of part one of how we came together.
So when you met Shane, I mean, you don't know him from any bar soap, right? And there's a reference. So there's a comfort level because it's coming from someone that you associate with to be in a comfort space as a leader and things like that.
Yeah.
What gives you the comfort to say, well, Shane is the guy that I can actually work with as an individual? So this is you about Shane now.
Yeah. No, I think it's like, you know, like anything, there's a famous phrase in property called due diligence.
Yeah.
I think you have to do diligence on partners, and you know, when you meet someone and you're considering doing business with them, you've got to suss them out, and you've got to see what they're about and see if they hold the same values and principles that you do, because that's really the basis of any partnership is, you know, do you guys have a similar way of thinking and doing things? So that's really, you know, what I base my criteria on.
Nice. Thanks, mate. Shane, in your side?
Yeah, so definitely, I mean, a lot of it is like, do you guys connect well? And you know, there's a lot of trust that comes on board, and essentially you guys are getting into bed with one another. So it's really important to know the other person and be able to trust them 100% and know that, you know, if we're going to go into this journey, we're going to go into it and we're going to go on all the way through, and we're not going to stop until we get to the other side. And that other side never stops. That other side is always growing and growing and growing. And Matt and I both have the very same views on what we're going to do and achieve with property. So yeah, it was just a marriage that was set to happen, and it was, yeah, the best one I could ever ask for. Eh?
Cool. Now that the journey has progressed, 2017 with 2020, that's a solid 3 years. And I'm gonna ask of this from a very good space. People come through, or should I say, they start off these partnerships and they go on to register companies. They go on and then they've got 1 or 2 deals starting up. It fizzles out. They don't call each other, and the partnerships are the natural death, right? How can one avoid that? Now that you guys have been at it for 3 years, to a guy who says, I used to have a partner, or I actually have a partner, but there's nothing on the table that they can show for it. You guys right now, you're sitting in a house where you co-own, and you're doing stuff together now. You know, we can see you. I drive around, I see your guys' body everywhere. So I can resonate to say that these guys are doing stuff, right? What is it that you can say to someone out there who's in that space?
Yeah, I would say that, you know, it's about holding each other accountable.
Right.
So you've got to set clear guidelines on what you want to achieve, and how you're going to go about that, and who's going to be responsible for what. And that comes with identifying different skills within one another. You know, who's better at what, and that doesn't come immediately. You know, that takes months, years to sometimes realize. So that's always the first step, is to identify, you know, what you're good at, what your partner's good at, and make each other accountable for doing what they need to do within the business. And you have to take it a step further. You know, try and document things. You know, so if you have an agreement with someone, or a partnership, or venturing into business together, try and have your documentation and all your ducks in a row. So make sure that you specify, you know, via agreements and contracts exactly, you know, how things are laid out, you know, within your business, so that there's no, you know, ambiguity or confusion further down the road.
How do you balance that off, mate? You speak of having the correct documentation and things like that as you're starting off. I was actually amazed at one point. We both share a lawyer, and Bruno Semao, and at a time I was busy doing our MOIs and shareholders agreement. And as I was leaving, I bumped into someone senior, very senior to both of us, in our circles. And he says to me, hey, TJ, I hear that you guys are clipping your shareholders agreement, the MOIs. That thing is beast. And it hit me like, you are like 10, 20 years ahead of me. Are you saying that you've never done one before? So I didn't ask that obvious question. So I went on to ask, are you guys busy with yours? And he says, yes, this is my first one that I'm having to do, because I've been bent before. How do you balance having a deal on the table? I've just mentioned now there's a deal on the table, and sorting out your house in terms of paperwork. How do you balance those two?
You know, it's not always an easy thing, especially as a beginner, because, you know, as a beginner, you're very much overwhelmed by everything that's going on. Not just the legalities, but, you know, everything within a deal. You experience so many different emotions, and you know, excitement and fear at the same time. So I think it's really about just keeping a level head first and foremost, and also, you know, not pursuing anything that you're not comfortable with, because no deal is worth, you know, putting yourself at risk where, if things do turn sour, that you're going to, you know, get a hiding. So always make sure that you find your level of comfort and and be comfortable with the level of risk that you're taking on. If anyone forces you into some sort of deal where you don't feel comfortable, or it doesn't quite sit well with your values, your ways of doing business, then it's probably not a good thing to go into.
Okay, cool. Now, I just wanted to ask a question, right? Especially around these partnerships. I mean, you guys have done partnerships across board. Are you only doing the partnerships with the two of you guys, or do you open up partnerships with other people as well outside the two of you?
Yeah, so we do bring on other partners and investors on board to the different deals and stuff. Kouro as a whole is just Matt and I. It's essentially how we'd like to keep it as well. But for the majority of things, other investors do come on board on the different projects with either JV or as angel investors in the different projects.
Okay, cool. And how has that worked out for you guys? Is that your happy space? Do you guys want to just go solo? Or is this in the next 5-10 years, this is your happy space?
I think, I don't know, Matt, just let me know if I speak for both of us, but from our side, yeah, we are very happy in the space that we are playing. For a big part of our business is about empowering as many people as possible. So keeping it close just doesn't work for us. We want to grow the Kouro brand, but at the same time, we want to be able to extend all that wealth creation to as many people as possible. So our whole view is to go to as many angel investors as possible and say, listen, loan us some money. We'll show you how to grow your money and we can guarantee your returns. And then through that, they learn a little bit about property. They gain great returns on their monies that they've invested. And the more people we can target, the better for the economy as a whole, especially through what we're going through at the moment.
Yeah.
Your guys' model is very similar to mine. I mean, I hang out as well with as many investors and things like that. And that's my happy place, bringing in other people on board. You share the risk, you share the benefits of it. But I've also realized that there are other people out there who are wanting to be in the property space, but for whatever reason, it could be commitment of work, commitment of time, and commitment in the head that they cannot do it. They're happy to ride with someone else who is doing it. Do you also find people like that?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, a lot of people, we do get, say out of the 100 investors, you'll probably get 1 or 2 that are fully committed to you and another 10 that you have to really sort of help work with along the side. I mean, it's not an easy game. A lot of people are fearful of, putting their money out there. Again, we are small, we're a growing company as well. You don't have that massive brand behind you, but it is where we are leading to. And again, a lot of it comes down to trust and open communication with these investors. It's not easy to ask for 500,000. It's not easy to ask for 20,000. For some people, that's a lot of money. So I don't know if you want to add anything there, Matt.
Yeah, so just to, I think Shane summed up the investment part of it as well, quite well. But what we also do is, we also bring on people that are aspiring, real estate entrepreneurs and people that do want to get involved in property, but like say TJ, they might be, afraid to take the first step, or they would rather rise with someone else. So we do bring people into our business that we can see are, do have an interest in property investment, do want to better themselves, maybe need a little bit of guidance. So we do bring those sorts of people on board as well, especially where we see the
Okay, good. That's good stuff. And I think that comes from a space of individually you are wanting to help others. So it's not just about the money. The money is there, yes, but individually you are wanting to. And that's very rare. So recently we have just started off a training brand called M5 Experience. And the idea there is that we've actually realized that a lot of people that are coming to invest with us, they are wanting to do it. They've done some education of sort, but for some reason, something holds them back. So how do we enable such kind of people who could be having money bigger than what they've invested with me, to go on and do bigger things? But as well, I recognize that not everyone wants to go big. Not everyone wants to buy a big building that TJ is building in such and such an area. I've realized that. I was one of my coaches, and he said to me, TJ, I just bought like five buildings. I'm happy with it now. I'm okay with it. I don't want to grow. I'm actually taking a holiday within this next 2 years, and I'm going to focus with something else. I'm like, what is wrong with you? I would buy a whole precinct if I can buy the whole of Johannesburg. We can just rebrand it, TJ. You know what I mean? Yeah. But we're not all like that. We don't have all those ambitions. For some people, they're happy to grow to a certain position. Mate, I want to come back to you from a personal perspective. What does property mean for you as an individual?
So I think first and foremost, for me, property is freedom. And, property gives you the freedom to do so many different things. As we all know, the property sector is very vast, and we all try and find our little niche within property, and we try and excel at that. And I think I love the opportunity that property provides. So many different people. There's so many different ways to succeed in it and make a difference to the world with it. So I think first and foremost, it's freedom, and also just the financial freedom as well. Through property, you really can emancipate yourself from the pressures of the financial pressures of everyday life, and just having a regular job. So for me, if I could sum it up, it's really about freedom.
Okay. When you're saying freedom, you speak of financial freedom. So the bottom line of it is that you're buying these assets, and these assets are paying you, right? So that's more on the buy to rent side, because I don't want to say I'm anti, but I'm not pro flips, right? I'm of the view that that's work, and I don't want to work for the rest of my life. I enjoy working, but I don't want to work for the rest of my life looking for money. I want to work having the freedom, the base that the money is there, and I can go to the States and experiment on a fast car and invest in a fast car model that has never been built. Stuff like that. You know what I mean? But you can't do that if you don't have a base. If your financial foundation is strong. When you're saying freedom, what is it exactly that you're talking about? Let's take it to layman terms. To the guy out there who's like, okay, so what freedom are they talking about? We've been free in South Africa since 1997.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, there's different types of freedom, and just to dumb it down and just put it into layman's terms, like you say. What you can do through property, especially rental property, is that you can create what we call a passive income. And a passive income is the type of income that you can incur every month without having to actually work for that income. So you get an active income. You go to work, you earn a salary or whatever it is, and you're actually having to put in time to get payment. Whereas a passive income is you put a bit of work in the beginning, and then that passive income pays you forever and ever on an ongoing basis. And the more passive income you can generate, it gives you more and more freedom, because you're having to spend less time actually working and using your time to get an income, and you can use now more of your time to go out there and do what you really want.
Okay, cool. And Shane, what does, same question to you, what does property really mean to you?
Sure. Wow. So, Matt topped off freedom. There's no way anyone can beat that. So just to add to that, I definitely say it's fulfillment. Yeah. So, when you wake up every day and you know that you're in property, and property is exactly the space that you want to play in, it's another feeling that you don't often find. And, it's to the individual what space that fulfillment is. To myself, property is a space that, fulfills me.
Yeah. One of the things that I've started now becoming a happy place for me is that if I drive around, or whenever I drive around, I get this warm, fuzzy feeling when I'm passing through a building that I own, and I'm like, everyone in that place, I am housing them.
Yeah.
I am giving them a place that they call home. And if I see like a broken window from outside or things like that, like I'm freaking out, like, what is my caretaker doing? Because if it's not for me, the deal that I've put together and bringing partners on board and things like that, actually all of these 30 people would have nowhere to stay, you know? And for me, I think that when I started off, it wasn't like that. For me, it was money. I was wanting to put bacon and eggs on the table and maybe go to Durban once in a while. That was me.
Yeah.
But my journey is now progressed, and that fulfillment that you speak about, Shane, of late, within the last 6 months, it hits me hard when I go through these places. Now I try to figure out when I get to one of the places that we've built or the building or whatnot, and now I want to find things that makes that family comfortable.
Yeah.
You know, when I get there, I see the kids are lingering around. I now start thinking, what can I do for this? Can I build a basketball court? Is there a ring that I just need to put in the car park? And that gives me warmth, because I'm thinking, if I drive there with my child, like now, can they just engage with these other kids and be normal? You know what I mean?
Yeah, property is definitely a space of, from Kouro's side, is empowerment and integration. You know, through the sale of the property to the construction of the property and the eventual person who is going to stay in that property, it's about empowerment. And, you know, for a lot of people, they have different dreams, but, you know, a dream always starts underneath the roof. You know, right. from Apple, from Amazon, everything, it was underneath one roof, and that's where dreams start. And that's what, you know, we aim to do as a group, is to empower as many people as possible to follow their dreams and, you know, live in that safe space where they can pursue their life and, you know, raise their kids in a way that, you know, they can then go on and empower and follow their dreams further. So that's the space that we want to do, is be able to help as many people as possible and integrate as many people as possible. Right?
Okay, great. You both slowly becoming to be family people. I've both met your better halves in one or two occasions. So I'm going to ask this question because it is a question that a lot of people ask me and say, how do you balance the two? I know that none of you got kids, but Shane, I think maybe he's got a wider array of dogs by him. And we can call those his kids as well. But how do you balance partner, mate and Shane, partner bed, partner at home? Shane, the other time you said to me that you're back at work full time. How do you balance that? Because you only have 24 hours in a day, right? And you know, if for mate, we're going to say, how do you balance the kids, the dogs that he's got, and all the other pets that I don't know of? How do you balance that out? Where do you find the time to still be able to do what you do now and excel?
Yeah, so, you know, that's not very easy at all. Yeah, just full disclosure, Matt and I have been full-time working since we started the company, and we're still full-time at this point. The idea is by the end of the year that we're no longer full-time, but part-time in, you know, our day-to-day lives, but full-time property. So there's going to be a nice switch towards the end of this year. But, you know, a lot of it is just open communication from my side. And, you know, it's about allocating certain time for certain people, doing what you need to do. You are responsible for a certain amount of roles, and, you know, you owe it to your business partner to, you know, achieve what you've set out to achieve. So, you know, business is one big part of your life. And, you know, if your goals are that big, you know, business is always going to be in there. You can't just drop business for someone else. but at the same time, a partner is also very important. So you need to balance the two. Communication and just time allocation is important.
Shane, drill down, bring it very practical. Monday to Friday, how do you wake that up? Because you only have 10 hours you're at work, then how do you do it?
Sure. So yeah, I'm a little bit different. So I'll wake up a little bit later, and then I'll work during the day, then spend a little bit of time in the evening with everyone else, and then I'm up from 10 p.m. till 4 in the morning working, and then I'll go to bed again. That's sort of my routine, and that's what I like. Matt is the complete opposite, but that's where Matt and I balance out each other quite well.
Cool, mate. Same question to you.
Yeah, so I think it's just important that the people listening understand that no one has the perfect life, and
Right.
no one has a perfect balance. And if they tell you that they do, they're lying. Whether it's the man on the street or the billionaires, no one has a perfect life. So don't be too harsh on yourself. If sometimes you find that you aren't making time for certain things, as long as you're striving towards that perfect balance, then you're probably already there, because you're already mindful that you need to have a balanced life, and you can't just be a workaholic or someone who doesn't focus at all on personal growth, etc. So I think that's very important to keep in mind. And I think it's not what we find time for, it's what we make time for. So you've got to just look at the day, and you've got to almost segment it and say, okay, what do I need to achieve today? And
Right.
with time frames can I do those things? So, what time can I exercise today? What time will I be doing my general normal job? What time can I set aside to do some personal learning or focusing on my business? So those are the things that you can do to try and help balance life. Setting aside time for spending time with your family, your wife, your kids, etc. I mean, those are just as important than your $1 million business meetings. So it's just about ranking things as they should be ranked in terms of importance, and making sure you get to those tasks.
Cool. Because there's two of you in the business, generally in the next segment that I'm going into, we generally share a deal on how exactly we have progressed on a deal. How did we find it, all the way to, is it making money? Is it a good deal, a bad deal from your perspective? When I started off in this journey, my wife and I, we actually had a property that we owned, and it was not cash flowing. Well, it was cash flowing negative, and with what we know at that time, that was good, because property was a 5-10 year plan for us. We had that view that in the next 5-10 years it's going to start making money for us. So perspective in terms of people, it varies, and that's why I'm asking this question to you guys, to say, in your perspective, with sharing your deal, I'd like you to share one deal, maybe a good one and a bad one. And the reason why I'm saying a good one and a bad one, I'm also in the same boat. There's some deals that have gone bad. On our YouTube page, the worst one that I did was last year. It was a ghost house. I spent a whole lot of money and time. It was out of town. I thought I bought it like at a stupid amount, but the amount of work that I ended up doing and putting in, and the sweat and the drives and all of those things, I'm 400 out of budget.
Wow. Yeah.
I'm never going to come back out of that. So, but the reality is that it's standing. Yes, I'm renting it out. What I was thinking of renting it out versus what we're getting now, because it's a small neighborhood, small town, it's 50%, but I took it by the chin. I continued. You press on, and I don't know who's going to take a good deal and a bad deal.
Yeah, I think jump in together and help one another out through it.
Okay, seeing that it's a partnership anyway.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. Let's go.
Cool. So I think it's always better to start off with the bad news than the good news. So let's start with the bad news.
Yeah.
Story of inspiration, rather. How you started low and rose up again. But I think probably the first bad deal that we ever did. And yes, there have been more than one. And I just want, you know, the listeners to know that if there's one thing that's guaranteed in property, you are going to fail. And it's a good thing, because you're what teach you to succeed eventually.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we came fresh off our first flip that we did in Randburg. First ever deal. We made a sweet profit. We thought we were the kings of real estate. And, you know, we were really motivated and we want to do our next deal. And we were like, we have to close the deal first couple of weeks of the new year. Let's do this. And, you know, we started following up on our leads, and eventually a couple of leads came through, and we found a willing buyer and, a willing seller. And, you know, given our enthusiasm and, you know, all of those things, we just had to close the deal, and we had to close it at whatever price. You know, looking back, it's probably the correct price. Worst case price that we should have closed the deal at was probably about 1.2 million. And we ended up closing the deal at about 1.4 million. And we knew it was a stretch before we got into the deal. We were so big-headed, and, you know, we thought, you know, we can do even better than the first time, and we can make even more profit. You know, we took the deal on. And the biggest issue was we rushed everything. So we didn't do a thorough due diligence. We didn't check our comparable values. What could we actually sell this property for once we renovate it? And we never did a proper costing, you know, with our contractors in terms of, you know, the renovation costs and actually, you know, the actual scope of work, because what we realized was there was a lot more work that needed to be done than we originally thought and originally budgeted for. And that was essentially our downfall in the end. But all of those things contributed to what the big issue was, which was the location of the property. And even though we bought this property in the same location where we did our first flip, you know, what we didn't realize about real estate is that an area is one thing, but sometimes just being on the wrong side of a road can make your house way less valuable than if you were in a better position. And this property that we bought was backing off of a commercial property. And it wasn't the best looking commercial property. And most homeowners don't want to stay behind a commercial property due to, you know, security risks and just aesthetic look. But, you know, we figured it wouldn't be so much of an issue. We'd build the wall up a little bit and hide it. But let's just say that never worked. And we ended up throwing money into this deal, you know, trying to spruce it up even more to make it more appealing. And we were just digging a bigger hole for ourselves. And, you know, we got an investor on board to put in the renovation and other costs. And he came on as a JV partner. And you know, even though he knew the risk going into the deal, being a property guy himself, you know, it was a really bad feeling for us to know that, you know, we brought him onto what was essentially a bad deal. And we tried selling this property. We tried, you know, lowering the price consistently. It just wasn't flying off the shelves. The offers that we were getting in were just super, super low. You know, we had so many issues, you know, during the build and the construction that we had a contractor that essentially screwed us over, and he ended up just basically abandoning the project and not finishing off it. And yeah, that's essentially what happened. So really what happened in the end was the investor just decided to, you know, keep the property for himself. He decided to rent it out and wait until the market improves, and wait till he can then dispose of it again. So, you know, with renting it out, he's probably going to refinance it and pull back some of his capital, not all of it. But yeah, that's essentially what happened. So very bad deal on our side. Yeah.
Shane, knowing that you're going to be working with this investor, or you know, maybe instances like this one can actually make the relationship not go further sometimes, right? But whilst you're working in this position, and I don't know whether you boys had put in some money in this deal at all. I don't know. Had you guys put in some money in this deal, or it was all his money?
Yeah, so it was all the investors' money that was put into the deal. We did contribute a small amount, but nothing compared to the investor.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's 100% on board. You have no money, and a lot of people are attached to money, and they
Yes.
they don't see your effort that you have put in, in terms of finding the deals, the effort, the time that you've managed to get it, and things like that, because all of these things are invisible to them, right?
Yeah.
The relationship that you've forged over the period of time for this deal to have landed on your lap, whatever way or the other. Now, from an emotional perspective, Shane, how do you balance off to make sure that you are still in contact with this individual and you can still be able to work together in the future? So how do you, so it's an emotional perspective, you as an individual, how do you deal with it? And what are the basic things that you need to do to make sure that the relationship still stands?
Yeah, so I think initially is where we failed twofold. Sort of we came out of this bad deal. We were not happy at all. The outcome was not exactly what we expected. It was far from what we wanted and what we wanted for the investor. It's a tough thing to then suddenly be like, well, we haven't lost you any money, but we've cost you a lot of money. So,
Sure.
It's a tough thing to say to someone, listen, we've failed, but, it's all on your hands and your shoulders. So, initially it took some time for us to actually go back and approach and just, sort of somewhat apologize, and then, try and regain what we did have as a relationship. But a lot of it just comes down to communication. And that's where we failed at first, is we didn't communicate properly. We didn't look for solutions that we could have possibly walked into with the investor. And it was more, I think, out of fear from our side and, disbelief and, sort of disappointment in ourselves as individuals and as a company. So, but, if I can just recommend to anyone, is just keep an open communication with people and always, strive to grow your relationships and keep your relationships strong. And in the end, this business is just all about relationships.
Okay, cool. Let's jump into the good deal. You've shared some cool nuggets there, and I'm glad that it's coming from someone who's done it. You lived it and you have done it, and it has made you grow as an individual. So high five to you guys there. We cannot do it. It's in Corona time, so okay.
Elbows.
Yeah. Cool. Let's jump into a good deal that you guys did and you walked away smiling, money in the bank.
Yeah. Okay. So with this one, it was a draft for dollars. This one is also in the Randburg, Kensington B suburb. So we actually sent out one of our juniors. They went out and they did a draft for dollars for us, and they came across a few distressed properties in the neighborhood. We followed up on the particular lead. Matt can talk about the interaction with the particular seller, but very interesting. But from the basic point of view that this property was in a major distress, there was sort of an ongoing relationship between the wife and the husband that just didn't make any sense. They lived in different provinces. It was a little bit odd. But, the seller was originally looking for between 1.1 and 1 million rand for his property. And, we went to him back and forth between the lady who was actually staying there, his wife, and him. She didn't want to sell at all. He did want to sell, but, obviously at his price, and he was committed to his price. So we negotiated down with him to 875,000. So it was a nice win for us. And then he just went blank. He just faded away. We couldn't get hold of him. There was no news from him. And then I think the next week we figured out that he had listed his property online with a couple of agents. Right. So we were like, middle fingers to you. Thank you very much. But, dude, like go behind our back and everything. But, in the end, we continued to follow up with our lead. And, it's an important thing to do is never let go, keep pushing until the very end. And, so it didn't go his way. He got offers way lower than ours. It just didn't come right for him. So we finally went back to him, or he came back to us. And we then were like, well, we starting our negotiations back down at 800, and we finally secured the property at 825.
Oh, nice. Well done.
Yeah. And this was our second multi-let that we ever did. And yeah, the structure works very well now. So we got an investor down from Cape Town who we pitched for. And yeah, so we got all the renovation budget that we did need and purchasing costs. And yeah, so within the 6 weeks that we did have before the 24th of December 2019, we had to conclude the project. And there was a huge downpour for a couple of weeks. But we managed to pull off a bit of a really, really good deal here. And so we've been able to renovate it into a 4-bedroom house and then two bed flats at the back. Yeah.
Okay. Now this is a good deal. Again, you've done it with another investor.
Yes.
I think they've put in all the money here. You guys managed to put the deal together.
Correct. Yeah.
Have you guys ever put in any money in a deal?
Yes, we have. Small amounts.
No.
Yeah, it depends as what you quantify as money, but essentially everything's come from an investment of some sorts. I don't know if you want to just clarify there, Matt.
Yeah, so just to clarify, Shane and I have never really put any of our own money that we've had saved away or that we've earned from anywhere into a deal. Yeah, we moved funds around to do certain things on deals, but we've never actually put in any of our own cash that we've saved.
Right. Cool. So you guys, we can safely say you have utilized investors' money all the time in all of your deals. I've always had the crown because I thought that I'm the only guy who's put in 1,000 rand and that's it. But you guys beat me. You've never even put in any money, So, but I want to speak about that specifically because you've got some people that are coming in with the money, and you're still coming in with the deals that you're putting in. How do you have the conversation that they put in the money 100% and you don't put in anything at all? I find uneducated people out of the property space, they find it hard to comprehend. So from your guys' side, how do you guys work with such kind of individuals? It's a partnership. Yes, it's a 50-50. Okay, fine. So I'm expecting you guys to put in your 500,000. No.
Yeah. So, I think again, it's about communication and how you communicate with someone. You've got to communicate clearly from the onset. Don't fool someone into getting into something and then right at the end you say, oh, by the way, we're not putting any of our own money in. I think you've just got to set the parameters from the beginning of the relationship and say, this is how we do deals. These are the pros, cons. This is how you can benefit from it. This is how we benefit from it. And, this is the way forward. Obviously, you can be flexible in your approach and, if an investor comes on board with a good idea, then of course, be open to that. But I think it's all about how you communicate exactly what you're doing. Because when you communicate what you're doing and you yourself understand it and you can communicate that effectively, most of the time people are going to understand that and buy into it. So it's just about honesty and integrity and, just really, communicating what you've done to get to this point. Because a lot of people think, oh, well, you're just putting in the deal, I'm putting in all the money. But, actually putting the deal together is the hardest part. That sweat equity that you put into a deal is very valuable. And most investors will understand that because it's not every corner that you find a good deal. It takes a lot of work.
Okay. Mate, if you were to look at Mate in 2016, right? With what you now know now, what are the 2 things, maybe 3? What are the 2 to 3 things that you can tell that individual to do?
I would say, 2016 me, I was still busy with the Uber cars.
Yeah.
So I would probably
get out.
yeah, get out. No, but I think what I was going through at that time, and going through that, and at the point where I'm at now, I would have told myself, stay strong. The bad times are there to make you stronger, and to guide you, because there's always going to be obstacles down the road. Whatever you do in life, there's going to be hard times. So you need hard times to prepare you for other hard times. So I would say that to myself is actually that would be definitely the first thing I say. And I think just say to myself, have self-belief, believe in yourself, believe in your journey. Don't compare yourself to others, because I think sometimes we compare ourselves a lot to others that are successful, and we think to ourselves, why am I not like that person? But everyone's journey is different. So I'd say to myself, embrace the journey, and just keep following your dreams. I think that's what I'd say.
Okay. Shane.
Yeah, so from my side, sure. I think a big thing is focus, eh?
Yeah.
I'd go back and tell myself to focus. Don't have your head up in a cloud, and don't try to do too many things at once. Follow what fulfills you, follow your passion, and make sure that you focus on that solely. Put a lot of focus onto that, and go and educate yourself as much as you can. There's so much out there that is free, so you have no excuse, if it's money related or anything like that, to not go out there and look for things. There's a lot of people that can assist you, and a big thing that's really helped me through my journey and stuff, and every stage of my life, has been mentorship. Is go and find someone who you look up to, approach them and say, listen, what is that I can do for you that you can assist and mentor me? Everyone's really willing to help, and I don't think a lot of people understand that. There's a lot of people out there that do actually want to see that other people succeed, but
right.
Big thing is, focus, and, find someone who can mentor you, someone who you look up to, for the right purposes, not just for money and wealth and all that, but, as a whole. And if you can't find that one person, find multiple people that fulfill certain portions of your life. Some people are health related, some people are financially related, family related, all of that. Yeah.
Yes. Shane, you hit it hard, especially on your last point there. I've recently just realized that being successful it's not about money alone. It comes into many facets. I gotta be successful in being a parent. I got 2 kids. I gotta be successful in being a good brother. I gotta be successful in being a good husband. I gotta be successful to myself in self-development. I've got to be successful in being a good business person, a good leader, right? We've got 200 tenants, 350 students accommodation. We've got guys that are working for us. Some of them I don't have direct contact with them because of the layers in the business. But I have to be all of these things. I have to be successful in all of these things for me to be successful, because money alone, fine, private jet, what, whenever we get there, but I've got I cannot relate to my own son. My wife thinks that I'm a dog, all of those other things.
Yeah.
For me, that's not being successful. And Shane, you've just closed it for me there, because we all have different backgrounds on our upbringing and our close society of what we are and what we see and what we see on TV and things like that. But you just hear it to say, in whatever area that you are wanting to grow, because it's a personal thing, right? I mean, mate got married recently, so he might need to go and see a counselor to help him in his relationship. The wife doesn't, but he might, right? But the reality is that, having been married myself now, it's almost, we like 11 years now. Yeah, we married 11 years now. I have seen that you can actually just journey along without journeying it in the best. So if you put that accountability elsewhere of other people that are doing it better, who have also been helped with other people, then you start excelling into the best. And best does not stop, isn't it's like a stadium, you know. There's always a next step to excel into, and at the bottom there's always others that are wanting to be there. So yeah, you just hit home for me there. Thanks, Shane, for that. Closing comments from you guys? Anything you want to give a shout out to? And you know, M5 Successful Friends, it's all about inspiring and educating. And I'm gonna start with you, mate, from that point of closing.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank you personally, TJ, for having us on your podcast. We're very honored to be part of your Successful Friends. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun and really insightful chatting to you. So thank you. And yeah, I just want to thank you know, everyone who's tuned in and listened. And yeah, I just want to say to you guys out there that, you know, perhaps are, you know, struggling a little bit or a bit hesitant to get into you know, to get into property, is just believe in yourself, and be courageous. Sometimes it just takes a bit of courage to do the things that you need to do, because deep down you know what you need to do, but sometimes it's just a little bit difficult to commit to that. So believe in yourself, be courageous, and just go for it.
Believe in yourself, be courageous. And this is of 2017 from being an Uber owner. And how many deals have you closed so far, mate?
So to date, we've done about 10 projects.
And 10 projects. And this is just in a space of like 2.5 years or something like that.
Yeah.
Definitely some good comments there. Shane, your closing comments.
Yeah, so just firstly, thanks to M5 and you, TJ. Yeah, and another one is just thanks to everyone who has personally helped us out, both Matt and I. And a big word of thanks to, you know, our team. They do a lot of hard work in the background as well. They are committed to us, and we are very thankful for all the work that they do bring on board. And yeah, to those people who do invest with us and believe in us and trust in us, yeah, there's some really, really good times coming up ahead. And as a final thought, just if anyone has taken anything away from this little podcast that we have done now, is I think reach out. You know, we're always here to help and advise. And if there's anything you want to know, or, you know, if you need any assistance with anything, you know, Kouro is here to assist you. So we look forward to interacting with you more, TJ, and anyone else who comes along our path, which is all about empowerment.
Boom. Thanks a lot, guys. It's been great having you guys along. I want to say that in the notes here of this podcast, together with the YouTube, depending on which channel you're viewing this on, I'm going to put the website for Kouro, and happy for you guys to reach out to them. They're doing amazing things down here in Johannesburg. They do partner up with a whole lot of people in the many deals that they have, in the buy-to-lets, in the flips that they do. So if any of those two fancies your style, these are the guys that you need to hang out to. It's been great. Awesome. And thanks to my business partners and my bed partner as well for allowing me to be doing this. And until we meet again, God bless. Cheers.